We have a school right here in Hayward, Wisconsin. And this is on my bucket list. I would like to visit this. Up in Sawyer County. And then we look at our tabletop, and we've got another article. Another photo of the Carlisle School and the children. This one from 1892. The author of the article. And then we have some more of the boarding school photos, so we can see what the children were forced to do in these schools. Now, there was a time when somebody would say this was home economic classes, and we learned how to sew and iron and all of those things in school too. However, this was a lot more than that. This wasn't just home ec for their own skills so that they could raise a family of their own someday. This was actually home ec so that they could make souvenirs for rich people, which is what they were doing at the Flandreau Indian School. One of the many horrors that went on there. And then probably the best example anybody could ever offer of forced Christianity. And again, I ask, look at the faces of these children. The photo itself says it all. And then we're going to bring it right to the present, because we're still looking for a lot of these children. And we have tribal elders and tribal leaders now who also have family members that are still missing from those schools. And this brings us to my own tribe and some history on the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. Our casino and resort. And an introduction to help me and Delia tell our story. And Delia's grandparents spent time at the Carlisle School, which horribly affected her family as well. Picture of me, the last one that I have of me with my long hair, not that we can really see it. And Delia was nice enough to provide us with a copy of her tribal ID so that everybody can see what it looks like to need that extra ID to tell us that we are enough. And then we're going to talk about my family as an example to explain blood quantum. and the special arrangements that need to be made for my eagle feathers when I pass, unless something changes from the way it is now. My husband and children are not even legally allowed to touch them. And then we move on to pictures of what our reservations look like now, and some explanation about our sovereignty and how we've been made generic after being stashed away on reservations. How many of our tribes are in the U.S. that are recognized by the federal government right now, not including those that are still fighting for recognition and those that have been extincted. And all of our flags that stand in the halls of Congress. And then we're going to look a little bit at what Hollywood has done to us. And then an easy example of the difference between appropriation and appreciation. The truth about our fry bread. And sadly, this is something that even a lot of our own Native American descendants don't know. A lot of our tribal members don't know. Fry bread is not an example of our culture. It's an example of our forced oppression and the abuses and atrocities that have happened to us. Fry bread came to be when the government rations happened after the reservations were in place and all of our peoples were moved there. The rations that our people were given were bug-ridden flour and moldy lard, and that was what they had to survive on. So as an example of their creativity, our ancestors came up with fry bread to keep them sustained and alive so that we could be here today. And then yet today we celebrate it, and so many call it a native symbol or a symbol of nativism or a symbol of our culture. And that really is not. That, if anything, that's an insult to our ancestors. Fry bread is one of the biggest causes of the Native American diabetes epidemic. And then an example here of who we really are. We are just like everybody else. We have the same hopes and the same dreams. And then of the things that people see of us, such as Standing Rock, something that needs to be understood is that we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for everybody, and we're fighting for our planet. And all of this is the reason for the kick. The reason that we need to teach the things that we teach and offer it up to the whole world. What we just saw on those storyboards was the exact reason why we are so necessary. And all of these things here can be found on our website under the buttons for our doctrine and our camp. And then I also included a booklet with the prophecies of the 7 fires, because we understand that we are currently in the 7th fire. And I'm only going to page so far through this because we are actually going to do another video very soon featuring the 7 fires prophecies. And we will finish here. We appreciate any and all donations. Chi Miigwech.